I sit as a minister, government officials have been attacked. Government officials have been beaten up. Government officials to the level of directorship. Then I'm sitting in my office doing what? How will such officials carry out their functions again when they know they are their principal or their boss cannot protect them? Not as private individuals, as government officials.
The federal government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a wicked problem. And what is this wicked problem? An energetic, competent, goal-driven, with evidence of performance on one side, but a mismanaged, excessively irritating and garrulous aide who has no capacity to understand that you are a minister, you are representing a president. The amount of invectives you put out at people increases their ability for them to, first of all, dislike you, and then by inference begin to dislike your principal, who then makes everybody believe that you have been given the liberties to disrespect everybody in the country. You had a problem in Rivers, you were backed. People didn't like that. You seem to have issues with almost all our revered leaders in the country, whom you have no ears talking to them anyhow, speaking to them anyhow, disrespecting them. People tolerated it. You are constantly in the media, screaming, shouting, bellowing, jumping, saying it anyhow you like. People are slowly but gradually unhappy.
The minister is the person who is entrusted to bring development because he represents the president, who's the de facto governor of FCT. It's not made any difference because he has an emperor mentality. He just thought, oh, I've got her, end of matter, and things are even worse.
Minister Wike himself visited the site, and at this point, all my workers believed Tsunami Wike was going to rain havoc on us. I was very clear I had all the necessary documentation, which I forwarded to his office, and received a simple, "I'm sorry, but my people gave me wrong information." End of matter. Speaking on this odoriferous saga between Minister Wike and Officer Yerima is extremely difficult for me because it's another example of a very vocal minority having their say and their way. Everyone tries to avoid this vocal minority, especially when they are baying for blood. And in this case, they finally believe they have the minister where they want him, defenseless. Today, I weep for Nigeria because we are becoming a nation of people fueled by hate of anything governments.
A lot of people are saying Wike is performing. In the first place, the Wike seem to have neglected overhead. I can tell you categorically, most parastatals under FCT and agencies are not being funded since he came. Overhead is lacking. Outside their salaries, overhead is lacking. Look at heaps of dumps within the city center. Even the environmental contractors have laid down their tools. If you go to Abuja Environmental Protection Board, they will tell you no kobo to evacuate those bins, and it doesn't speak well for our health. So if you are completing bridges, roads, what about environment? What about health? What about on a road? And what about overhead? A lot of agencies and parastatals are running just like that.
When President Bola Tinubu appointed Nyesom Wike as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the political landscape shifted immediately. It was one of the most controversial appointments of the new administration. A former PDP governor, a man who fought his own political party during the 2023 general elections, suddenly placed at the center of national power inside the ruling APC government. At first, Nigerians saw it as a bold political calculation, Tinubu rewarding loyalty during the election period, while strategically weakening the PDP by bringing one of its strongest power brokers into his cabinet. But what followed in the months after Wike entered the FCT was far from the quiet and stabilizing influence many expected. Instead, Abuja became louder, more chaotic, and more explosive. From dramatic demolition campaigns to open confrontations with military officers, to the aggressive restructuring of FCT administration, to the never-ending war in Rivers State, a state Wike still treats as a personal political empire. The crises have piled up one after another, and slowly the The question Nigerians whispered in private has become a national debate. Has Wike become a political asset to Tinubu or a growing liability? This documentary digs into every fight, every clash, every crisis Wike has been involved in since his appointment. We examine how each one affects the stability of the government and the strength of the ruling APC and the future political climate ahead of 2027 election. This is the full story. The moment Wike took office in the FCT, his home state of Rivers State exploded into a political battlefield. A state that should have settled into a new administration under Governor Sim Fubara instead became the center of the biggest subnational crisis in Nigeria since 1999. And it all stemmed from one thing. Wike was not ready to let go of power in Rivers State. What started as a subtle disagreement soon escalated into political warfare. A House of Assembly split into two rival factions, an impeachment attempt against the sitting governor, resignations of commissioners loyal to Wike, the burning of the Assembly complex, court battles, counter-protests, breakdown of order, federal interventions that finally rectify the issue. Every attempt, every chaos adds to the tension in Rivers State. Every time Wike released a statement or made a public appearance, the situation escalated further. Tinubu intervened not once, not twice, but 3 times, issuing peace accords that collapsed almost immediately. The president's inability at the beginning to control the crisis created the perception that Wike had become too powerful, a minister whose political war was destabilizing a whole state and embarrassing the presidency. The deeper problem was simple. Wike treated Rivers State like an unfinished business. He believed he built the structure, he believed he made the governor, and he believed he should dictate the terms. The mindset turned Rivers into a live political volcano, one that could erupt periodically, dragging the presidency into every explosion. By the time the Rivers State crisis got settled, the president declared a state of emergency that lasted for 6 months, and Fubara at the end of the day got reinstated, and every ripple of chaos from Rivers State splashed back at the national level after that. For years, Abuja maintained a calm administrative rhythm, slow, steady, often criticized for lack of innovation, but predictable. That ended the moment Wike stepped in. He walked into the Federal Capital Territory administration like a general entering a new command. His first action sent shockwaves, massive demolitions, threats to illegal landowners, reorganization of the FCT bureaucracy, suspension of long-standing directors, aggrieved policy enforcement, drastic restructuring of agencies. Wike styled himself as a result-driven minister, but his strategy came with consequences, political and social. Demolition videos went viral. Displaced families cried out. Developers accused the minister of selective enforcement. Civil servants murmured about intimidation and fear. The narrative spread quickly. Wike is ruling Abuja like a personal territory. While Tinubu wanted visible results in the FCT, especially ahead of the 2027 election, the backlash from Wike's method began injuring the administration's public image. A minister who was supposed to help the government appear stronger and capable suddenly became the face of harshness, zero tolerance, and intimidation. Administrative aggression, discomforts within the capital. For many Abuja residents, the question was not whether Wike was effective, it was whether he had become too powerful, too forceful, and too unrestrained. And for the Tinubu government, the concern became even bigger. Was Wike's style helping the renewed hope agenda or undermining it? The most alarming moments of Wike's tenure so far came during a confrontation with a naval officer in Abuja. It was a scene nobody expected. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory exchanging heated words with an armed officer on duty. The video went viral instantly. Civil society organizations condemned Wike. International observers questioned the professionalism of the FCT administration. Security agencies, some privately, and many others publicly, expressed displeasure. The defense minister expressed displeasure. The fallout was massive, and for the Tinubu presidency, it opened a dangerous chapter. In Nigeria, the military remains one of the most sensitive institutions. Any disrespect to uniform officers, especially in public, is seen as a direct challenge to law, order, and national stability. The incident revealed three things. 1. Wike temper remains unpredictable. 2. Security institutions will not tolerate embarrassment. 3. Tinubu may face internal pressure if such confrontations continue. This is not an isolated moment. Behind the scenes, there have been whispers of tension interactions between Wike and certain security units over land enforcement operations, demolitions and property disputes in the capital. The bigger political problem at this point is the issue of perception. The perception that Tinubu is unable to rebuke or control the minister. A perception that emboldens Wike worries political insiders. Even from his seats in the FCT-led cabinet, Wike continues to fight battles inside the PDP. He insults party leaders, he mocks governors, former governors, BOT members, and anyone who opposed him in the 2023 election cycle. The result has been a fractured PDP, heavily destabilized, constantly in the news, unable to present itself a unified opposition. But here is the twist. While this benefits Tinubu politically, it also creates a strange kind of instability in the national political system. Wike's involvement in the PDP crisis has created suspicion between northern and southern PDP blocs, endless verbal attacks, counter-attacks from governors like Makinde, the collapse of the once powerful G5 alliance, more polarization across the political spectrum. Instead of stabilizing national politics, Wike's presence at the federal level continues to ignite new fights. Even APC insiders have quietly expressed concern that Wike's long list of enemies, from Atiku to southern PDP governors, makes him a magnet for political controversy, dragging the federal government into opposition in fighting that should not concern the presidency. And while Wike insists he is loyal to Tinubu to 2031, his constant involvement in partisan conflicts creates one of the greatest risks to the administration: distraction. A presidency preparing for the 2027 election cannot afford an overly controversial minister whose name trends negatively every other week. All political calculations lead to this final chapter. Is Wike still a strategic asset to Tinubu, or has he crossed into becoming a liability? Here is the reality. Wike gives Tinubu certain advantages. He weakens the PDP, secures influence in the South-South, projects a strong governance image, delivers fast infrastructures in the FCT, and controls grassroots network in multiple states. But these advantages comes with heavy consequences. 1. Wike is involved in too many fights. The Rivers crisis, FCT crisis, PDP war, security clash, civil servant conflict, and demolition backlash. 2. Wike's political style is confrontational by nature. He does not back down, he does not apologize, and he does not slow down. 3. Every crisis he creates reflects on the presidency. Because he is not an ordinary minister, he is high profile, he is loud, he dominates headlines. And 4. Tinubu cannot publicly discipline him without political consequences. Doing so would trigger PDP celebrating, Wike's loyalists rebelling, Abuja politics destabilizing, and the South-South calculation may start shifting. Wike knows this, and that knowledge gives him a level of boldness that few ministers in Nigeria's Fourth Republic have never ever possessed. The more crises he enters, the more Nigerians ask, has Tinubu created a political force he can no longer control? Because if Wike continues on this path, he will become more than a political problem. He will become a political storm, a storm with the power to shape headlines, influence elections, divide the opposition, and complicate governance at the federal level. The truth is simple. Wike is both an asset and a liability. But his liabilities are increasing faster than his assets, and if not managed carefully, they could become one of the biggest internal challenges Tinubu faces ahead of 2027. Wike is a phenomenon in Nigerian politics. Loud, fearless, unpredictable, strategic, and always ready for a fight. From Rivers, he moved through politics like a bulldozer, clearing a path for himself. Tinubu knew exactly who he appointed in 2023, but even he could not have predicted how quickly Wike's storm would spread. The fights are not slowing down, the controversies are not stopping, and the crises are not ending. And so the question remains, will Wike strengthen this government or eventually damage it? It is a question only time can answer. But right now, one thing is clear. The story of Tinubu's presidency cannot be written without the name Nyesom Wike stamped boldly on its pages, for good or bad.